Welcome to issue 6 of my weekly comic video. This week was another big pull, so let's get started. Some honorable mentions first. Batman Beyond Unlimited number 6. This issue starts a new story for Batman Beyond, though it kind of just continues with the current overarching story. It also continues the adventures of the Justice League and Superman Beyond stories as well. Green Lantern Corps number 11. This issue continues the story as Guy Gardner and John Stewart fights the Alpha Lanterns. Invincible Iron Man number 521. Although the story title has changed, it really just is a continuation of the previous story. All three books are well worth a pickup, and if you haven't added the series to your pull, you won't be disappointed by doing so. First comic to cover this week is Birds of Prey number 11. I haven't ever really been a fan of the Birds of Prey series. Nothing against it, but never had a huge reason to start collecting it. The Night of the Owl tie-in issue piqued my interest, and I am somewhat glad that it did. The series so far has been a hit or miss with a decent starting storyline, though I can see how people were turned off at launch, and it hasn't felt like a waste of money yet either. The book focuses on 4 heroines: Black Canary, Starling, Katana, and Batgirl. There is a 5th member, Poison Ivy, but we all know what is going to happen with that particular person. So far, the 2 biggest flaws in the series, in my opinion, is Jesus Says being replaced by Travel Foreman, who isn't a bad artist, but can be rather lazy at times throughout the book. And the same flaw that is in almost every other relaunched book. We don't know anything about these new characters. Unlike most reviewers, I have no problem with leaving out the origin stories from the first issue and telling it as the series progresses instead, especially when it comes to a team book. However, if what drives the new book is something the reader needs to know, then it needs to be addressed in the issue. Issue number 11 starts what we all knew was going to happen: Ivy's turn back to villainy. Even if there is something of a surprise at the end and she doesn't end up turning evil, we all know she will eventually do so, so there is little to be surprised about here. As a whole, this series is worth picking up a trade if you don't want to add it to your pull list. Next comic is Fantastic Four number 608. If Amazing Spider-Man didn't cheat with its monthly releases, then this would be my longest running series. While I don't think it lives up to its the world's greatest comic magazine claim anymore, it is still my favorite team book out there. Now, the past few years haven't been kind to this particular comic. The concepts continue to be interesting, but the delivery has been less than engaging. One of the biggest draws to the series I had in the past is the ever-changing cycle of the team. Having members leave and being replaced for a time, introducing new concepts like the negative zone, having life issues be reflected in the adventures was what made the book fun. What do we have today? Spider-Man replaces the Human Torch when he supposedly dies. Not only does that probably make Spider-Man in more teams and books than Wolverine, but it just goes to show the lack of effort being put to the book. Issue number 604 ended the big epic story arc that brought Johnny Storm back and finished off the console of Reed Richards' concept. My biggest complaint about this big epic story is that it completely ruins years worth of material in other books for no real purpose. Issue 605 to present have been filler issues winding down from everything that had happened previously. 608 finishes a two-story arc, sort of, involving the Black Panther. Something that probably easily could have taken place in his own book and probably without the Fantastic Four, but whatever. If you are collecting the book, then this isn't worth breaking your run over, but it probably isn't the best place for new readers to jump on board. Don't know if the next issue will start up the next big story or not, or if this Black Panther story will play a part in it, but for now, it can be overlooked. Last comic for this week is Wonder Woman number 11. Wonder Woman is another one of those characters that I never really followed, but didn't mind reading when the stories were interesting or when intertwined in a story that I was collecting. When the book relaunched, I picked up the book willing to give it a chance, and I liked the direction the book was going, and so far I haven't been disappointed. Instead of a retelling of her origin, we get more to the origin that we already knew. Instead of being born from clay, Wonder Woman is actually a child of Zeus. She comes across a woman who has been impregnated by Zeus, who is now supposedly dead, and is in danger because of it. This sets up much turmoil among the proclaimed Greek gods, and chaos ensues. Probably what makes this series entertaining to me is that Wonder Woman is actually dealing with her own world and mythos, and not just fighting the villain of the day. It also feels like the character is evolving without having to change her character or past for once. This is probably the only relaunched title that I have read outside of the Green Lantern books, which pretty much ignores the reboot, that I don't feel like I have missed something before the book starts. New readers should feel right at home with this one as well. The origin, while there isn't completely spelled out in the first book, it does establish the character and the direction it is taking very well. Issue number 11 starts off the next arc in the overarching story, and it doesn't disappoint. It continues to bring in more ancient Greek characters and still manages to move the story at a decent pace while giving a decent amount of character development as well. While the series does have a bit too much in the way of blood every now and then for my taste, it is worth a purchase. Though if you are a new reader, I would recommend picking up a trade or digital purchase the previous issues of the series. I would also like to add that the fact that you would want to pick up the back issues in one form or another is a plus in my book, because that is exactly what you are supposed to do when it comes to collecting comics. While I understand that might be a turnoff to new readers, comics shouldn't be self-contained. The issue should make you want to not only continue to read the book, but make you want to know what happened leading up to that point. Not saying you should know the complete history of the character, just why the character is in that particular circumstance. The final thing to cover this week is a manga. Cased Closed Volume number 43. Quick note, I will be using the Japanese names for the characters. This volume covers 3 cases, while ending another from the previous book and setting up one for the next. The case that it finishes is related to episodes 346 and 347 of the anime series, where the detective boys work with Detective Sato to bring in a criminal terrorizing the streets. Next is related to episode 350 and 351, where Conan and Mori discover the meaning behind a lost cell phone. Third case is related to episodes 381 and 382, where Hattori and Conan compete with Mori, Ran, and Kaza on a murder mystery. The last case, which ends in the next volume, is related to episode 383, where Hattori and Conan have to stop a bomber at a baseball game. All the cases in this volume are entertaining and will please any fan of the series. No black organization this time around, though we do get some character development out of Hybra during the first case. And that will do it for this week. As always, thanks for watching, and God bless.